Hey, everybody, welcome back to Almost Sideways, a place for movie conversation. Today's conversation is Leprechaun, and I do have to be part of that conversation. I invited Gory B Movie over here to kind of talk about this fun horror film. So, Gory, welcome back to the channel. All our links are going to be in the show notes down below, so definitely check out Gory's channel. But without further ado, Leprechaun came out 30 years ago, and it stars Jennifer Aniston and Warwick Davis. Real quick, Gory, what was something about this movie that you kind of like fell in love with?
I love the Scooby Doo-ness of this movie because I'm a big Scooby Doo fan, and that's
Nice.
no accident because Mark Jones, who directed it, worked on Scooby Doo. He worked on the one that everyone hates, Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo, but he came from cartoons. And there's even a Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo episode where there is kind of a mischievous leprechaun, but leprechauns were always kind of these cute, maybe a little cheeky
Mhm.
characters, but he was like, why hasn't there been an evil one like that? Why hasn't that been done? Because they are,
Yeah, I've always liked this movie too, and seeing Warwick Davis's portrayal of this leprechaun has always been fascinating to me. I'm a big Star Wars fan, so seeing Warwick Davis kind of do something different from the Star Wars and Willow specifically was something I've really enjoyed here. Uh, I never actually didn't know that he actually did the creator of this movie actually did like came from animation. That's a really fun fact to
yeah, he worked on a lot of cartoons.
know.
Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo is one of them, and he just always wanted to do kind of like an evil leprechaun. And speaking of Warwick Davis,
Mhm,
the story behind him being in this movie, he was actually in a really dark time of his life.
mhm.
One, he'd always played good characters,
Yeah.
and he'd always wanted to play a villain. Like he just thought that sounded like the most fun thing. And then he and his wife lost their first child,
Oh, wow.
which was really hard.
Mhm.
And obviously, and he got this massive script in the mail, and he was like, let's get out of England. Let's change the scenery. That's what me and my wife need right now. And he
Mhm.
thought doing this movie would be really therapeutic for them. And it was, just the change of scenery, just getting to focus on work was really good for them. And as far as getting work in the movie, the people who were working on it were talking about like, who would be really great. And they're like, the guy from Willow.
Yeah.
And Mark Jones was like, we're never going to get him. He's kind of a big deal. So they just sent him the script and it just happened to work out perfect.
Well, that's see, this is one reason why I love talking to people who really love the movies and stuff like that because I find out all these little details. It's the gory details specifically that, that I would never have known without doing like going in more in depth of it. So that's pretty cool. I've always been really liked Warwick Davis. I know he just came back out and did Willow, the TV show on Disney Plus there, but seeing him in this film, it seems like he's just having a complete blast. Playing off the characters, saying his lines, and just giving this such a kind of a. I guess it's not like the biggest like horror like villain ever, but he gives us a larger than life persona, and I think that's because Warwick Davis is a talented actor, and he makes the character kind of larger than life and really work for the entire franchise.
Yeah, he has a really great book called Size Matters Not, where he talks about this movie and
Mhm.
everything else he's done too. Another really fun thing is the director really wanted to impress him, because he's a big star. When he came to America, and he lives in California, he's never used his fireplace. But he's like, I'm gonna set up like a nice wood fireplace to impress this British man. He doesn't open the flute. So all the smoke alarms go off. It's covered in smoke. They have to go outside. The fire department has to come. But he made an impression.
Yeah, it was definitely one that it was a little smokier than he was envisioning it, probably.
Um, Something else that's really fun about this movie, there's a couple things. So one, Warwick Davis says one of the biggest things that helped him get into character with this film was the shoes. The shoes were nearly impossible to walk in. They're platform and they're high heel, but they are the leprechaun shoes. So he
Yeah.
insisted on having the same shoes in every movie. He became very good friends with his makeup artist, the special effects artist for the movie, Gabe Bartelis. And he even ended up being in that filmmakers' movies when Gabe Bartelis ended up making Saint Bernard.
Oh, yeah.
But he said the shoes were essential, like once he got them. And it's also really hard to find shoes that fit him.
Mhm.
So when he's roller skating, those are actually his roller skates. He loves to speed skate. And
Oh,
there's
wow.
stories when he was an Ewok in Star Wars, that's what he would do. He was so energetic. He would just roller skate like all through the lot.
Dang, that's awesome. I was actually going to mention the makeup artist here too, because I think that giving that iconic look, that his look is so awesome in here. Like definitely that makeup is kind of really stands out every time. I haven't seen this movie for a couple years now, but rewatching it last night, I was like, I've always remembered how great that makeup was, and for a movie that didn't have probably didn't have the biggest budget, they definitely used the most out of their budget with the makeup because there was some really good details in his his face and stuff like that. And the shoes, gotta love him running around in his leprechaun shoes. So that was good.
And the way the makeup evolves, like he starts off with like a cute little button nose,
Yep.
and it's more cute. It's more like what you'd expect from like a Disney film. Well,
Mhm.
for a leprechaun. And then as the movie progresses, as he becomes more and more angry, it gets scarier and more lines, and the nose is sharper. And so it's really cool that progression that it goes through.
Yeah, definitely. You could see it when he's like, okay, I'm trying to just find my goal, try to lay low a little bit. Then it's like, okay, these guys aren't listening. And now I need to be a little more ferocious. Okay, now they're really not listening. Now I need to show my true side to it. So that's
He's
the
so playful too. Like
Mhm.
he's like, just because this happened to me doesn't mean like that's a good philosophy. Let's all learn from the leprechaun. Like he just had the only thing that matters in the whole world to him. So think about what matters most to you: your family, your home, your car, what have you. It got taken from him. That's what matters
Mhm.
the most to him. And on top of that, it also it's not even just a materialistic thing. He's weaker without it. He
Yeah.
needs it. And you know what? He's still pogo dancing, pogo dancing, pogo jumping. He's still riding go-karts. He is having the time of his life. And I also love how trusting he is.
Oh
So
yeah, that
when
was
Jennifer Aniston's character gives him back the gold, he's like, okay, thank you. And then he goes off to count it. Like some people will be like, now you sit there while I count this gold. Not
yeah.
the leprechaun. He's like, all right, great business transaction. Goes off about his merry way. Of course he's angry.
Yeah. Because he feels lied to and kind of betrayed. He trusted Jennifer Aniston in that moment, and he's like, okay, cool. Like I'll leave you guys alone. You guys, I'm stop bugging you. I won't bite your hand anymore. I won't pretend to be a cat. I'll be what I'll do. I'll leave you guys to be it. Go paint your barn or your house there, and I'll leave you alone. And then he's like, these sons of bitches lied to me. What the hell? It's
Oh
like
my
now
gosh,
it's
I love
on.
that. I love that scene where they show him at the end of the hallway, and every time the skateboard goes by, he's in a different position. That's so cartoon. It's so Looney Tunes or Scooby Doo. Like, watch this movie as a cartoon. And like, when I was younger,
Mhm.
I would watch this movie and I'm like, "Oh, some of this movie is really silly, like the rainbow and stuff." And
Yeah,
when I got older and I realized the background behind it, and I watch it more as like an R-rated cartoon, which is what Mark Jones has always wanted to do, is
yeah.
R-rated Scooby-Doo. Think of this like an R-rated cartoon, and if you don't already love it, I think that's going to help you to love it even more.
That's a great kind of point to put out there because coming from animation, it kind of feels like a live action animated film anyway, because it just how playful the characters are, some of the dialogue there too. It feels just really fun. And you mentioned the pogo dancing, the him on his
Pogo
pogo
dad,
stick.
pogo stick.
His pogo stick. I will stand to like I like my favorite one in the franchise is the second one. The second one I really like. I like the first three films. I think those are like my
With the
favorite ones.
lawnmower blades.
Yes. So there were some
I
really
love
cool kills.
1, Returns, and
Mhm.
3. 3 is so fun.
Oh, 3, yeah, anything in
But I like
Vegas is
them
always
all
a fun.
except for Origins.
Origin, yeah, I'm not a fan of Origins. I'm not
Yeah.
Leprechaun in Space. I don't know. That was just like I maybe have to give it another chance because that was one that I was like, we're going to space. Like that's it just seemed like a complete like left turn from the how much I loved the
It
first
was
three.
that, or because there was a lot of ideas going around. It was that, or he was going to the White House. It's gonna be one of the 2.
I want to see that cut now.
There's a lot of ideas going around for more Leprechaun. Like another one, gosh, I'm drawing a total blank. The guy who he's done a lot of the Saw movies,
Oh yeah, the
not the Wong, Darren Lynn Bozeman.
yeah.
He really wants to make a Leprechaun movie. Like if you follow him on Twitter, he's constantly like, "So when do I get to make a Leprechaun movie?" He wants to make one that involves time travel and taking Lep back to the Gold Rush era, which I think
Oh
is
my
really
goodness,
cool.
that would be cool.
And the reason why, and I just want to say this too, Leprechaun Returns is really, really good. It's the only direct sequel.
Mhm.
to the first one. There's a theory that each movie is actually a different Leprechaun. That explains the slight
Yeah.
differences in their abilities and such, and why there's not a lot of continuity except for In the Hood 1 and 2.
Yep.
But Leprechaun Returns isn't a direct sequel. Lyndon Porco is great in it, and he wasn't there replacing Warwick. Warwick actually retired, and the
Mhm.
reason why is because he had his daughter Annabelle and his son Harrison, and he just wanted to be a dad and not do any horror for a while. But he did say when Harrison, his youngest, turns 19, he'll get back into it. I mean, Harrison's like I think 20 now. So
Oh, there you
now's
go.
the time. Let's get Darren Lynn Bozeman in there. Let's get Warwick Davis. Let's get another Leprechaun movie.
Let's do it. Make it happen.
Yes, Gabriel Tellis would do it. You know, you can get the old crew back together.
Yeah, that'd be fun. It's a perfect time to do it because there's been a lot of, horror films coming out that kind of spark the imagination and coming back out. Like I think that time traveling moment, I think that would be if they do that idea, kind of like the movie Prey this last year. They went back in time. I think I would love to see different horror film villains pop up in different time settings. I think that would be or time periods, I should say.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool idea. Warwick Davis personally has always wanted to do kind of like a pirate one. The worst,
That's so
actually,
cool.
not worst, just the only one I think is just a horrible idea. I think the worst ideas come when the money people, not the creative people, are making the
Yeah,
decisions.
that is true.
And after Freddy versus Jason made so
Oh
much
no.
money, the studio was like, well, what do we have in our library that's popular? We got Leprechaun and we got Candyman. Leprechaun versus Candyman. Tony Todd was like, oh, hell no.
Be my victim.
That's putting a kibosh on that right now. So
Yeah, that
bless you,
would
Tony Todd.
be not a great. That would not.
No.
That would be kind of horrible, to be honest.
And
I would.
Mark Jones, he gets asked this a lot, like, what do you think of Leprechaun versus Chucky? And actually, well, and Don Mancini of Chucky, he said, Chucky's personality is a little more similar to Freddy Krueger. He'd like to see that instead. But
Mm.
yeah, Leprechaun, I don't know. I don't know who Leprechaun should versus against, but I wouldn't say it's either of those two.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah, definitely. That's gonna be a more like the Easter Bunny. There we go. We have a killer
There you
Easter Bunny.
go. One of the good Easter, like there's a few Easter Bunny ones. One of the good ones.
Yeah, so that'd be interesting. I don't know that. That's a thought for if you think of any good ideas, put that in
Or
the
like
comments
Elf
section.
or something.
And like Elf. Oh, there we go. There we go. One.
Something holiday themed. I like what I like the rock you're cooking.
Yeah, it's like definitely like a battle of the holidays. Whoever wins wins
Yeah.
or takes over or something like that.
There's so many. It's such a cool franchise, and there's so many areas that are a little untapped in it.
Mhm.
So it'd be really cool to kind of dive back in there, and especially with a creative person who is so passionate about it. Darren Lynn Bozeman, Warwick Davis, Gabe Artellis, they're all very passionate about it. And I think with the right script, you could get Mark Jones to come back to because he loves it. I've talked to him a few times. He's really cool. He's such a cool old Hollywood guy. Like he's just really big into his stogies. Like we had a whole conversation to have him like recommending stogies to me, and I don't think I ever had a stogie.
Nice.
But
That's
he's
the kind
really
of guy
cool.
right there.
Got a big old Leprechaun poster on his wall. And I think a lot of these movies, especially Leprechaun is one of them, people kind of look at it as like second tier or a B level. Like there's, your Freddy versus your Freddys, your Jasons, and then there's Leprechaun beneath that. But nobody in this movie gave less than 100%. Everybody in this movie wanted to tell a story. Everybody in this
Mhm.
movie wanted to be creative. And I think it really does show. There's a lot of heart to this movie too. Like your main cast of characters, they are kind of like the Scooby Gang. You get your Fred, your Velma,
Yeah.
or your Fred, your Daphne, your Scooby, and your Shaggy. You don't really have a Velma,
Yeah.
but they're really sweet. And there's a lot in here about like just friendship and stuff too. One of the parts I find Leprechaun to be a moving movie.
Mm.
The kid tells Ozzy, "We need this money to get you an operation to fix your brain."
That was a
And
great moment of like sincerity right there. It's like that's something like a kid that age thinking about somebody other than himself. That was just like a charming moment there. And I've totally forgot that was his whole purpose of having that, finding that gold, to kind of hiding it to see if it was actually real, because he was caring about Ozzy, and I loved that those little moments there.
yeah, and the part of that really gets me is when Tori later on says you can't fix his brain. He's like, I
Yeah.
know, but he doesn't know that. And like that part just breaks my heart, you know?
Mhm. I think going kind of back a little bit, what you were saying, like everybody.
Sorry, I go off on tangents.
No. I like it's this will tie in. I hope anyway. But seeing how everybody kind of assumes that Leprechaun's kind of a lower B level, nobody in this cast really showed that or shares that sentiment, because they made this movie work so well, and it felt really great going back and rewatching, because it's a very enjoyable thrill ride, and seeing every character, like you were mentioning, having little moments of sincerity with one another, and really giving a great kind of story, and giving great character performance there too. That like the two, the Ozzy and what's his name, Alex, they
Alex.
are they are just two great companions, really great characters there, and it's really I can't vision any one of them being in other films though, but they were like really perfectly cast in this movie.
The kid who played Alex was in a ton of movies back in the 90s. He was in like Rookie of the Year and Don't Tell Mom
Ah,
the Babysitter's Dead. He was in a lot of stuff back in the day. Um, and what I like about Alex a lot is you can tell that we don't get a whole lot of background on like what's the story with him and his brother, but you know that they're alone. There's
mhm,
no parents. And
yeah,
so you feel bad for the brother because he's trying to maintain this business, take care of his brother. He's also kind of adopted Ozzy.
mhm,
But Alex really has had to be a little adult. He's the one who has to fix the car. He's the one who's making the business dealings, like, really selling the Painter Brothers business and stuff. Like, this is a little boy. He
yeah,
should be running around playing. And he's like this tiny little adult.
yeah.
And I think all the characters in this are so good.
Yeah, I think that, and there's so much kind of depth to them too, just having little moments like that. I totally forgot that he was the one. It wasn't like the older brother; it was the younger brother going to fix the car. I think that
Yes.
was a little crazy, and he knew exactly what part. It was like, yeah, it wasn't just used as a jump scare. It's also kind of 'cause that what's under the hood of the car was the leprechaun there, but it wasn't just used as a jump scare. It was used as a little more layer to his character of Alex. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah. A lot like Tommy Jarvis, who does similar things in Friday the 13th Part 4.
yeah,
But nobody talks about Alex. And I think Tori gets a fair amount of hate in this movie, which I really don't like.
yeah.
Because we're taking like a Valley Girl type character, which is really popular then. It was even
Mhm.
popular in the 90s in movies like Clueless. You're throwing her out into the sticks. You're throwing her with a little goblin character. You think of these characters and you think, what movie do they want to be in? This is a character who wants to be in Valley Girl. This is a character who wants to be in Clueless.
Yeah,
This
she would be best
character,
friends with
not the
Alicia.
actress, wants to have a movie where she's meeting boys and going to the mall. No, she's in a monster movie.
Yeah.
And yet she rises to the occasion. She's tough. She's
Mhm.
wielding that gun at the end. He's like, "Do you know how to shoot that?" And she's like, basically, I can't
Yeah.
remember. She says, "I will," or I'll figure it out, or something
Nothing,
like
yeah.
she's really tough. She does not abandon her friends. And Jennifer Aniston, there was also a little bit of controversy with her where people thought that she was embarrassed of this movie. She was embarrassed of it was her first movie. Like, well,
Yeah.
if you count Mac and Me, she's one of the background uncredited dancers, but
Mhm.
it was her first movie. So she looks at it more personally, just like any of us would looking at their first YouTube video or something. Like,
Oh, yeah.
she's embarrassed. She's young and
Yeah.
it was a long time ago, but she said when she got this movie, she was so excited. This was a big deal. It was with a guy from Willow. Like, she thought she finally came it her own. She thought she made it. And everyone on the set, Mark Jones, everyone said that there was just something special about her. Like, they could tell she was special. She was going to be a big deal. They really had to fight for her too, because the studio wanted like your typical American blonde,
Yeah.
California girl. And they're like, well, we'll have her dye her hair. And he never made her.
Good.
And it worked out perfect because, the next year she did Friends.
Yeah, and the perfect, Jennifer Aniston, I don't not pretending to ever know and all the background stuff and all the hate between the characters. I can understand the hate that she probably would give, but I don't understand why either. It's a perfectly kind of it's a kind of a fish out of water. She's going to a completely different climate. Yeah, we may kind of like poke at some of the different like gaps and reasonings in a screenplay, but that's also because we're coming out of maybe a critical mind. For this film, she's put into a situation and then she's like, oh, I'm gonna try to not I'm trying to make the best of the situation, because yeah, there's maybe a cute boy here, but also I'm gonna try to do the best I can, even though I kind of want to go to a hotel and sleep there, not sleep in this little cobweb filled house. But when she's up against the Leprechaun, she was the one who went and gave the gold to the Leprechaun. She faced him one-on-one, and she didn't necessarily have to do that. And I really like Jennifer Aniston. She's obviously, we saw minor glimpses of her talent, and you just said she got Friends shortly after this too. So seeing this first performance from her, I think you could draw a comparison to a lot of other big name actors who have started off in, got their big break from horror films too. So there's a lot of familiar faces in horror franchises too. Like Leonardo DiCaprio was in Critters, and you got Paul Rudd was in,
Billy Zane was in
Halloween.
Critters, the first one.
Who else?
Billy Zane was in the first Critters. A lot of people over in Critters.
Yeah, there's a lot of, there's probably thousands of other people who've showed up that you may recognize now in these horror films. And yeah, they maybe they're not the best performances because we've seen so many performances of these actors for so many years. So it's always kind of odd when you see the first one, but there's something special about this performance here in Leprechaun.
I think she's really good in it. And I love that scene where she's just like, nope. Oh, also, by the way, I love that they don't hurt the tarantula. All the tarantula has to do is walk across the ground. They were very careful with the animals. But she sees the spider, she sees the cobweb, she's like, I am noping out of here. And then the moment someone tells her that she's being prissy, she's like, oh yeah, no, I can handle it, no big deal.
And seeing that in her perfect Jennifer Aniston way of saying things, I absolutely loved her her line delivery in that. She's like, no, I can handle this. Yeah, no big deal. Like she has that,
so much humor to it. Like, and also just the banter between her and Nathan, I thought was really good.
Yeah, there's some. But the funny things that I was watching this movie, I was like, I was having a harder time, like not believe, like I don't like think I didn't hate any of the characters, but I was like, you guys would not use a paintbrush to paint that house. That's I was more
They're
like
also doing a terrible job.
I was like, you wouldn't do that.
Something to look for when you're watching this movie. It is intentional. This is supposed to be an R-rated cartoon. Look at the colors they're painting the house. The house is like blue and red. In every single frame in this movie, they tried to have bright pops of colors, whether it be the dishes in the background. This movie is supposed to look like a cartoon. That's why there's a rainbow. That's why the clover patch is extra green. It's a really, really cool movie.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like I had to remind myself, it is a live action animated movie here. That's why those pops of color there. So that makes, even though I was like, they wouldn't paint the house that way, but the colors are meaningful. I love
you would in a Scooby Doo cartoon. If Shaggy and Scooby were doing it, they would. That's why they do it that way. Look at their costumes, their bright costumes, and also something else. Like, just
good point.
There's a lot of artistry here. Like, did you notice all the shots of the shoes? The shoes are so important because the movie is largely kind of told to us from the Leprechaun's point of view. So the Leprechaun is the hero. But there's so many shots of everyone's shoes going up and down the stairs and stuff because that's what he cares about. He cares about gold and he cares about shoes.
Yeah, that's like, even we mentioned the pogo stick scene, and that he even he shines the guy's shoes after too. It's like, because that's what, he does care about that thing. It's cool. It gives that another layer. The filmmakers intentionally giving you a character development thing for a certain character so you can even relate to them even further. So that's awesome. There's a lot more intention in this movie, especially hearing it. And now I want to go back and watch it again to pay attention to those little details.
I'm probably going to upset a lot of your audience here, but the villain development here is better than a lot of movies. It's better than Jaws. Why is the shark, which sharks don't typically attack people, why is it attacking people in shallow water for no reason? To this day, I don't know. I think that movie's amazing, but I don't know. I know exactly why the Leprechaun is attacking people. I know why Leprechaun does the things that he does. I know he takes great pride in being a shoemaker. I know that he loves his gold and he needs it to survive, and he likes being able to use his magic because that's the way he's able to go around. He loves toys and he loves having fun. He's in no hurry to get it back. He's having a great time.
And he has that infectious laugh as he's doing it too. Yes. It's great. It's great. I do want to say, I think my favorite, if we're talking about kills in this movie, I love the pogo stick kill. I think that's one of my favorite. When I think of the franchise, that's the kill that I think of in the film when he's like, this old he jumps up on, or he jumps on your lung or something like that. I love that sequence and that kill. It's
The
fun.
rhymes are so good. And there is, it's another kind of one of the urban legends. A lot of people think that originally the movie was really dark and it was Warwick Davis who's like, let's lighten it up. And that's not exactly true. The script and the storyboards and everything were all very much a R-rated cartoon. The studio, drawing a total blank on the studio that did it, but they didn't quite get it. They're like,
Mhm.
so it's not really that scary. It needs to be scarier. So they went back in with like the pogo stick scene and stuff and added a little more gore, a little more blood. And they wanted to kind of tone down some of the comedy, but Warwick Davis was one of the people with, the voice that was going to get listened to because he was a big
He's
star.
a big star, yeah.
So him and Mark Jones and the producers and stuff were very much like, no, this is the movie. This is why people are going to like it. And I like Mark Jones's pitch for the movie. Essentially, is he's somebody who, like me, grew up as a child on horror, and he wanted this to be a movie that like 12-year-old kids could watch. And he didn't want it to shy away from the horror. Like he
Mhm.
didn't want it to be like a PG-13, but he also wanted it to be a lot of fun, So he wanted this to be kind of like a gateway horror movie without toning down any of the horror.
Yeah, because it's not like it's not overly brutal, but there's also the effectiveness to what they're doing there, and it definitely it's entertaining, it's fun, and you can't help yourself but have a good time watching it. I feel too.
And the themes of it really appeal to somebody who is kind of at that tween age. The
Hmm.
themes of moving to a place is totally different. Friendship,
Hmm.
the things that are important to you, your toys, your money, the things
Yeah,
that you value. So, I think it's really, really cool. I think it definitely really hits that 12 to 14-year-old age. But as an adult, if you are one of the people in the camp that just thinks that this movie isn't quite as good as maybe some other ones, just remember that it's an R-rated cartoon.
yeah. I think that's a great best point we've made all day, especially that it is an R-rated cartoon, and it comes across like that, and it's entertaining, and it's better for it too. I You're mentioning like 12 to 14 year old. My daughter's about to turn 9, and she absolutely like really enjoys this movie, and she's like, I want to watch the Leprechaun. We started it last night without her, even though she just watched it a couple days before without me. But I started it without her, so she had to stop what she was doing, come in and watch the movie. She's like, "Can we restart it? Like, you started it without me, without even telling me." I'm like, "I thought you watched it the other day." She's like, "But I love this movie."
Girl
So,
after my own heart.
yeah. So she's a huge fan of Leprechaun there, and it's one of those films that even my mom or her mom and I, or my wife and I, we have different tastes in films and such like that, like we all couples generally do. But there's this one that we can go out and just have a blast watching too. It brings the whole family together. Leprechaun, found for the
Yeah.
whole family.
Yes, absolutely. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah. Any last really points you want to like bring a light to or share some of your last couple takes on the film before we wrap it up?
Something I can't believe that we haven't gotten with this movie is why isn't there a leprechaun figure? Like, hello, this movie
Ah,
is ripe for merchandising. All of his little vehicles and such. You could
that is a
change
good
out the heads
call.
for when he gets all melty. Like, I would love to see that. And I think a lot of it is just because, I don't know. I don't think people talk about this movie enough, but I think this movie's got incredible effects. They still
Mm,
hold up to this day.
that is true.
The visuals are really, really fun and exciting and creative. Everybody is doing their best work. Like you could say, there's few scenes where Tori has to get emotional, and
Mhm.
she could be like, oh well, this isn't going to be a very big movie or whatever. And no, she didn't. She really does give it her best.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing their best job here. And yeah, I think it's a really special film.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I love how the visuals and the makeup work specifically for me just really pops off the screen. Even when like the guy gets bit in the hand, thinking it's a cat, it's just like that bright red blood color. It's perfect. I absolutely love the different character moments we get between Alex and Ozzy and Nathan and Tori. I really enjoy the like the visual aesthetic, and it is really funny too. And Warwick Davis, of course, he's the big star. He knocks it off out of the park there, and he makes it his own, and it truly is like an iconic horror icon for me. too, because of how great that performance is.
Yeah, he's always been very protective of this character, and I think
Mhm.
that's really cool. I think some people get a little embarrassed with their horror history, not Warwick Davis. He is very proud of this movie. Another person, Mark Holton, who very active on Instagram, by the way. You message him, you tell him you're a Leprechaun fan, he'll probably message you back. Real sweet guy, but he's so
Oh,
proud
nice.
of this movie. That's why he returned for Leprechaun Returns.
Ah, that's great. Ah, that's awesome stuff, man. Funko, where are you at with our Funko Pops?
We got the Funko Pop right here. It just came out.
Oh, it did. Okay, well then
Yes,
I'm
but
behind the time.
I need a Neko figure with like the pogo stick. I need the little car. I gotta have the roller skates. I need a Millipede face. Come on.
Come on, NECA. Let's go. Next opportunity. All right. Well, this was a great conversation. I got so much more appreciation talking to you on this Leprechaun movie that I cannot wait to go back and rewatch this entire franchise again because of all the little nuggets that you gave me today. So,
Nuggets. I like what you did there.
yeah, little drops of gold, as it were. Yeah. So,
Good
all
stuff.
right. Yeah. All right, everybody. Again, my name is Adam, and this is Gory, and all our links and socials and YouTube channels are down in the comments section or description box down below. So make sure you guys give us a follow and hop in that comment section and talk horror movies with us as well. So until next time, we'll see you later. All right, perfect. That was